Hello, Atheist Edge again. Welcome back. My guest today is Dave Warnock. I will say right off the bat, this subject, and it's kind of weird for an atheist show because the whole subject of death and dying is intrinsically a part of theology and whichever side of the fence you're on. But for some reason, and I don't think I'm alone, I find it uncomfortable. I tend to avoid this subject. I don't like thinking about it. Today we're going to think about it, and don't tune out. I think it's going to be very important that you listen to this show. It's going to be we're going to shoot for a nice tight hour. We're not going to go 2+ hours on this one. I have some important questions to ask Dave. And I think we all need to pay attention. I want to start with links. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to start with links and plugs right up front so people know where to find you.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, good. Dave Warnock, Dying Out Loud. That's my YouTube channel. My website is daveoutloud.com. Dyingoutloud.com was taken, so Dave Out Loud was the best next option. And all my links are found on the website, so you can find all the Twitter and the TikTok and the Facebook on there. But daveoutloud.com will get you where you need to go. And yeah, glad to be here.
All the links, like I said, are in the description. I don't know if I may have gotten his YouTube channel. I might have linked the wrong one. That GD show. It might not be on there, but I've already made a note and I'm going to check. I'll add that if I failed to do that. Ricky Gervais was once interviewed by Piers Morgan, who's just a total garbage human being, not in my opinion. But he was Piers asked him, I don't understand atheists. I mean, what's your moral barometer? What do you have to live for? And Ricky off the cuff, had the most brilliant reply. He said, what do we have to live for? We have everything to live for. We have nothing to die for. And I found that really profound. Yeah.
Classic Ricky.
Man, he's just a class act. On your website and in your talks, you talk about how abrupt the diagnosis was when you received. Now you're going to talk, folks. I'll give you the chance to talk about the whole process of when you were diagnosed, but it felt very abrupt, very callous. And then immediately after they gave you the diagnosis that you are going to die. They just showed you showed you to the elevator. Like, see you later. Put your clothes back on, and there's the elevator. Oh, can you walk us through just that moment when the diagnosis and is there an after plan for this? Is there mental health Is there counseling available? No, there's the elevator. Walk us through that.
Well, it occurred to me afterwards that a person who is maybe a little less mentally strong could go jump off a bridge when you're diagnosed with something like this. I was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a terminal illness given 3 to 5 years to live. No treatment, no cure. So the neurologist gave me the diagnosis, and then I just kind of looked at him and said, should I get dressed? Because I had the classic hospital gown on. And he said, yeah, you can get dressed, and the elevator's down the hall to the left there. And that was it. I mean, no follow-up, no, here's a brochure, here's a counselor we want you to see, here's a phone number. And I thought, that's just not the best way to do this, in my opinion.
I'm going to be skipping all over the place. My questions for you are in no particular order, so we're going to be bouncing around. We're going to come back to this subject probably too. Also, in the live chat, for the whopping 9 of you that are on there, the most I've ever had watching live is 47, and that was Richard Carrier debate. So I mean, thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming on the smaller YouTube channels. I mean, that means a lot to us, the up and comers or the ones that are permanently stuck at 10,000 or fewer. You are a speaker. Okay, since this, You've been asked to speak at a lot of, I think the TANG conference, what does TANG stand for? I forget.
The Atheist Network Group.
The
Ozzy
Atheist
Oz,
Network
yeah.
Group. Is that, Oz. That's it's going to be up in Minnesota. Is that still going?
Fort Wayne, Indiana. It was scheduled for this fall, and he moved it to next spring just because COVID concerns. And so, yeah, I'll be speaking there. There's a couple other conferences coming up. Prior to COVID, I was traveling a lot doing, after the diagnosis, I started doing a thing called Dying Out Loud. It just kind of organically started happening, and I got on YouTube shows and podcasts, and then started traveling and speaking at secular groups. And we were booked all over the place, actually planning to go to Europe and speak in Amsterdam and Germany and England, and COVID shut all that down in 2020. And things are starting to open. I really kind of didn't know how long I had, to be honest with you. And I thought that might be my last good chance to get out and travel and speak. But turns out that I got more time than I thought I would. Mine's a very slow progressing form of ALS. And so other conferences are beginning to be scheduled. There's one coming up in Nashville. I think it's not officially done yet, but NanoCon, which stands for Nashville Nuns Conference. I'll be there with Seth and Matt and some other people. And then there's a conference in Sarnia, Canada in the summertime, which I'm excited to be sharing the stage with Hemant Mehta. And that conference, I haven't gotten a chance to meet Hemant, but Dan Barker will be there, and Greta Vosper, who I have met. So really excited to get out and do some conference speaking next year. I'm looking forward to that.
How unbelievable is that? Had you done any public speaking prior to this, and then you just I saw you on the FFRF, Freedom from Religion Foundation, with Dan Barker and Annie Laurie Gaylor, just shooting the breeze with them. I mean, did you do any type of public speaking prior to this, or did he just hit you in the face?
Well, years in church. I was a pastor for a lot of years, and so I did have a lot of experience speaking, and so it kind of comes easy for me, if you will. It's easy for me to get in front of a crowd and talk. I mean, I think that's my favorite thing to do is talk. Luckily, my ALS hasn't affected my voice. Now, this disease will travel to all parts of my body. Right now, the symptoms are primarily in my hands and arms, and have been there, and it will eventually travel to my legs and or to my voice area where I can't speak. And so I've joked with my girlfriend Bevan a lot that if I couldn't talk, I don't think I'd be wanting to stay around much longer, because I like to talk about the things that are important to me, and that's what the Dying Out Loud message has been. Living and dying. We'll talk more about that, I think, in the hour. But yes, it was kind of an odd thing to start getting on these shows and meeting people like Matt Dillahunty and Seth Andrews and Dan Barker and Daryl Ray, and the list goes on and on. Anthony Magnabosco and Andrew Seidel, and just I don't mean to be name dropping, but to be able to connect with these people and get to know them personally, and just see the quality of individuals that make up the atheist community, and the podcast and shows I've gotten to do and continue to do. I'm in the Atheist Experience later today with Matt. And it's kind of an odd paradox, if you will, because none of this would have happened. This activism that I'm doing, this speaking, none of it would have happened if I hadn't been diagnosed with ALS and gotten on this Dying Out Loud journey. So, God works in mysterious ways. That's all I can say.
Oh, I love it. Tongue in cheek. I keep forgetting to say this in the live chat, guys. Feel free to ask a question, a constructive comment, and I will post it and ask Dave, and so you're free to do that as well. As an atheist, I never know what to say to a survivor, someone who lost a friend or family member. I was just at a Marine buddy's funeral, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. It was a friend of my dad's, but he's a fellow Marine, Trump-supporting racist son of a bitch, to be honest with you. But he's a fellow Marine. I went to his funeral. I paid my respects.
Yeah.
But everyone there. Oh, did you know him? Were you in Vietnam with him? Do I look that old? First off,
Vietnam. Holy shit.
Jesus, how old do I look? Okay, but and then I'm seeing some things in the live chat right now, and I'm so sorry this has happened to you, kind of, Dave. Okay, I get that, but is there anything comforting someone could be saying to you right now, as an atheist? I mean, the Christians will be. They have plenty to say. I'm praying for you. You're going to a better place, and it's all just talking out the side of their neck. It's pure speculation, in my opinion. But is there anything an atheist, could say to you that would give you comfort in this period, in this time?
The thing I tell people is it's not about the words you say, it's about being there, just being present and being in the room. If you can't physically be in the room, just virtually, just letting people know I'm here. I feel you, I hear you, I'm with you, love you, that kind of stuff. The reality is there are certain situations in which there are no words. And so sometimes our words get in the way of just being present. And so I would encourage people to not trip over the words so much or get hung up on the words you say or don't say, but just being present. I after my diagnosis, I was living in Nashville at the time, and I have the best friends in the world there, and I still see them a lot. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina now with Bevan, my partner. But at the time, just the reaction of my friends was heartbreaking because everyone was processing the news that I'd been given a death sentence, and none of us knew how long that would last, if it was a year, 2 years, 3 years, or how fast I would progress or digress. They call it progression, but it's really digression. So we were all our heads were spinning, and the best part of their reaction was that they didn't run from it. They didn't dodge it. They didn't hide from it. They came toward it. They ran toward my pain, toward my suffering, toward the disease. They weren't afraid of it. I was having drinks with 3 of my best buddies a week or 2 after the diagnosis, and we're all still just processing it. And Brian, who's also an ex-pastor, all 3 of these guys were ex-clergy in the clergy project, so that's interesting. But maybe that's why we're best friends. But he just leaned in and said, "Dave, I just want to ask you something." And he's a very empathetic and serious individual, Brian Maynard. And he said, I would love to be there with you at the end if you would allow me. And it caught me off guard. And I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yes, I want to be there all the way through it. I don't want to miss a thing." And that blew me away and still does to this day. And both the other guys said, "Yes, me too. Please include me." And so these guys were asking my permission to be there with me when I die. I don't know how you get a closer friend than that, in my opinion.
That's heavy.
Yeah, sorry, I brought it down to a heavy point real fast, but
no, I mean that's what this show is. I need to embrace this.
Yeah,
it's a subject I avoid. Our local atheist group, Metroplex Atheist, we had a member die. Maybe it was right before the holidays. Richard Lowe, he was a long time, one of the charter members from way back, and so we're also a part of an atheist and Christian book club. So it's half atheists, half Christians, and you guys.
That's
there's
cool.
There's a whole playlist. We've had Frank Turek,
and Jesus.
Oh yes, but we also have Richard Carrier and R.N. Raw come in. So every month we read an atheist book, then we flip to a Christian book, and I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, so a lot of Christians are kind of by proxy member, associated with Metroplex Atheists. Go figure.
Right.
And so the 2 graduate level apologists wanted to come to the funeral, and we allowed one of them to actually deliver the eulogy, and he was so respectful, didn't mention anything that we would find objectionable. It was a secular eulogy. It was just outstanding, and the fact that they were there, I was it's a great way to interfaith kind of
Well, it's
bond.
hard. It's hard for Christians to pass up the opportunity to proselytize at a funeral. I've seen it over and over again. It doesn't matter how secular the individual was, or how ungodly or godly. They just cannot help themselves when it comes to using an opportunity of grief and sorrow to proselytize, and it's infuriating. Hi, Kendra. Thank you. That's a sweet thought. I would love a hug. And I don't know where you live, but maybe one of these days I'll be doing a book tour next year, and hopefully we can meet up with a bunch of people.
Kendra and Tobin, I believe, yeah, they're in Texas. I think I'm going to see them at Faithless Forum next month.
I'm going to be there.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
All right, I'll see you then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kendra, you can give me a hug at Faithless Forum.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay, so there's a part 2 to that question. Are there some things that make you feel uncomfortable or you'd rather not hear when people are trying to offer their condolences or sympathies? What are some things that you just wish people would not say to you?
Well, I guess there's nothing that offends me. I mean, some things irritate me. I do know that when people say I'm praying for you, that they mean well. I realize where that's coming from. But I will say this, for a Christian who knows very well where I stand and where I'm coming from, for them to say that to me and insert that into my framework, into my world, is at best unkind, and at worst it's highly insensitive and obnoxious. And so I really don't take kindly to it. And if, depending on the situation and the circumstance and the person's attitude, oftentimes I will let it blow by and just say thank you. But if they're being really overt with it, I will push back, and I will tell them that you can keep that shit to yourself, because it hasn't worked. It doesn't work. It never will work. And there's no point in telling me that. You're just wanting to insert your worldview onto mine, and I don't appreciate it. So depending on how irritated I might feel, I may throw in a "go fuck yourself," but you have to bleep that out.
Yes. Feel free to not answer this one. I'm going to be really blunt. ALS, does it usually end painfully? Or does that overwhelm your thoughts? And are you hoping for a painless end to this?
It doesn't typically include a lot of pain. I'm not in pain now. The good thing about ALS is that I don't have a lot of doctor visits and medications and treatments. I mean, it's bad that there is no treatment and no cure, but there's nothing I'm doing on a daily basis. I don't really go to the doctor much at all. I'm in a clinical trial for a medication that they're given to see if it works, and I just drink a colored water every day. But there's the end. Other than there are times, depending on how it affects you, where your muscles can waste away to a point where the bones are kind of rubbing against themselves, and it can be painful to I'm sorry, Jim. I hope I don't want to cause you some discomfort, bro, but I'm gonna just keep real. But
Yes,
the pain is not something I'm really afraid of, because honestly, I don't intend to go to the bitter end myself. I intend to take measures to end things when the quality of my life has digressed to a point that I'm no longer satisfied with it. I highly resist the idea that we have to stay alive at all costs, no matter how much suffering, no matter how hopeless the situation is. I don't live in a state with a death with dignity law, but there are other means in place. I work with a group called Final Exit Network, and there are ways and means for me to take matters into my own hands at the end. My point is, I'm not interested in the length of days I can live. I'm interested in the quality of those days. And when I reach the point where I don't believe that the quality is up to a standard that I'm satisfied with, then I'm going to be prepared to say goodbye and to exit on my terms under my control. So for myself, I'm not concerned about it getting to a place where I'm wasted away so so badly that I'm going to be in pain. I don't intend to let myself waste away to that point, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, great answer. Christopher Hitchens was asked when he was diagnosed with stage 4 esophagus cancer, do you fear you're going to, or is there any chance you're going to a deathbed conversion? And he said, well, some weird things can happen during the dying process. It could happen. Just believe me, and I'm telling you this now. In fact, have a tape recorder, record this, and let it be known that anything I say, it's because of heavy medication, and it's not. What I'm telling you right now is no, there will be no deathbed conversion. How do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, no. I've been asked many times if I've reconsidered my deconversion position. A lot of people get confused about the chronology of things. I let go of faith and deconstructed from my evangelical faith over a dozen years ago. It's been a long time. I've been an atheist for a lot of years now. I've only been diagnosed with ALS a couple of years. So those two things are not connected. But people have asked me, after your diagnosis, did you reconsider? Did you say, was it like, okay, God, just kidding about that atheism thing. Let you and me patch things up. What do you say, big guy? No, not even for a second. There wasn't a hint. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. I was years an evangelical Christian, and you can't unsee and unthink and unfeel those things. It's a done deal. And I don't have any sense that, people, there's no atheist in foxholes. That's bullshit, because I'm in a foxhole and I'm an atheist. But there's no sense in me that I'm going to reach a point where I reconvert. I can't make myself believe that stuff. It's so far gone from me. I've had people say things. There was a former church member that heard me on a show and reached out to me. He was a member in the church that I was an associate pastor of in Arkansas years and years ago. And he reached out and he said, I'm really disappointed in your atheism, Dave, because you used to lead people to God, and now you're leading people away from God. And he went on to say, if I was Jesus, I would have you die sooner than what you're going to die, because he thought I was hurting the kingdom of God. Well, I guess karma is a bitch, because about a year after he said that, he died. And I don't even know what to make of all that.
Wow. I don't wish for anyone, but
I don't either.
Yeah, that's karma is a bitch. Jeez.
That's about the worst thing someone has said, directly to me. Yeah, I don't know what people are saying about me, and that's none of my concern. But, people are going to think what they think.
Exactly. On your webpage, you talk about some of the damages that are caused by evangelical Christianity in general. And if I could indulge me, I'll just read this one paragraph you write. Turning my back on this faith came at a huge personal cost, with the loss of almost my entire community of friends, the end of my 37-year marriage, and the Christian shunning by 2 of my 3 children who still remain steadfastly in the evangelical faith, which heartbreakingly has resulted in my not being able to be a part of my 6 grandchildren's lives to this day. Describe some other damages, or what in particular are the real tangible damages and harm to evangelical Christianity?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. Let me amend that thing. Since I wrote that and said that, there's been some movement from one of my daughters and her 3 grandkids. I've gotten to see them this year. I don't know what caused the movement. I'm still who I am and say what I say. Her and her husband pastor a church in Florida, but she's been open to seeing me again. And we've had a meeting with, and I saw the grandkids. The 5-year-old granddaughter was the first time I'd seen that child, Harper. But I am who I am, and people can accept that. I've made mistakes in my life, and I know that my daughters were disappointed in my exit from Christianity. My son never did cut me off, but they did for a season, and one of them still does. but the other one doesn't at this point, and there's communication. So things can change. And if people are dealing with that in their lives, then just, keep being who you are and being consistent and kind and generous with people. I write about this in great detail in my book that's coming out. I'll plug that. After the first of the year, it's being edited and revised right now, but I write in great detail about those experiences with friends and family. But to say this, the damages I see in evangelicalism, and I take great lengths in describing evangelicalism apart from merely saying Christianity, because there are so many versions of Christianity, so many brands, if you will, and some are more benign than others, some are more damaging than others. And the more fundamentalist strains of Christianity are the ones, in my opinion, that are the most damaging. When they teach children from birth that you're a dirty little sinner, that you put Jesus on the cross because you had the audacity to be born a sinner. That's a very damaging message. I mean, they don't say it, most of them don't say it in those kind of harsh words, but that's the message. The message is that you are a sinner, you are broken, you are dirty, and it's by nothing, because of nothing you did. It's simply the fact that you were born into this world. That's a very damaging message to send to children. I think it's nothing less than child abuse. And then the ideas about hell and the exclusivity of faith, in that all other people are wrong and I'm right. Those kinds of divisions are damaging to people. They're damaging to society. They create an us versus them mentality. And we've seen that play out in recent days and recent years in a political way, but that political activism and those political ideologies are greatly informed by the evangelical subculture underneath them.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen Hawking had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, as well. He lived quite a long time after his diagnosis. Is that due to maybe more expensive or better treatments that's not available to you? Is there a chance that 3 to 5 years might be a little bit conservative, and there could be a more generous outlook?
It's all over the map. ALS is such a. I have known of others who lived a long time. He was an outlier, far and away above anyone else that we know of. In fact, there's some speculation that he did not have classic ALS, if there is such a thing. But ALS itself is a very diverse disease. It affects people different ways. What you will note about Hawking was that although he lived a long time, most of those years were in a very debilitated state, in a state that I don't intend to get to, period. Now, if I had the secrets of the universe, I might stick around, but I don't. So I don't see a lot of, once I get some things done that I want to get done, like getting the book published and doing some more traveling and doing the things I want to do, not that I'm ready to check off, but at some point when the quality of my life is just so substandard that it's just not worth, the trouble every day, then that's a different thing. But he did live a long time, but most of those years were not in a very good condition.
That's true. His quality of life had deteriorated to such a point where you might have wanted to punch out way sooner.
Oh yeah, that's my attitude at this point. Now I reserve the right to move that line as things change. But
let me throw this curveball at you. Although his quality of life was substandard, he got a lot done during that. If not for the sake of furthering human progress, he kept going because he was a value to our human progress. Breakthroughs in physics, for one thing. Right. You similarly, reaching out to people, doing some real good for humans. Would you ever consider, okay, I'm at a poor quality of life right now, I'm ready to punch out, but I'm still able to communicate by some means, who knows? Yeah. At that point, maybe you've lost your voice, but if there's a way to continue to help spread awareness, raise awareness, continue your activism? Would you do it to further raise consciousness for the good
Yeah,
of mankind?
I think that's a good point. And like I said, I may move the line a few times as things progress, because there are good reasons to keep going, even though it becomes more difficult. What people don't realize, unless you're in the background, is how much uh, work it takes from those around me to get me going. Now, I'm still fairly functional now, but there will become more and more need for me to be helped with everything: feeding, bathing, dressing, moving around. It becomes a strain on people physically, emotionally, financially. So I'll have to weigh the pluses and the minuses, the wins and the losses. And if I feel like I'm still contributing to the good of people and helping people, I want to keep doing that, because I do appreciate the opportunity to do that. I've been overwhelmed at the opportunity that I've had to do that, and the messages I've gotten from people and the support from people all over the world. And that's not a small thing. And I want to measure that against whatever discomfort or unease and trouble that it causes me and those around me. So it will be a balancing act, and it's not an easy thing to answer at this point. And I guess that is the point. I don't have to answer it right now. I can keep going and just take a look at it a year from now. How do I feel now? What's it look like now? Do I have another book in me? That sort of thing.
Posting this. This is Jason Ellis. It says Ralph Ellis on there, but
Hey, Jason.
yeah. I hope the gap of time between now and when you choose to go is as good as it possibly can be, and the best to you and Dave.
Thanks,
on
buddy.
your terms. That's great.
That's sweet.
I only have guys in the live chat. You're going to have to do some of the heavy lifting, because I've only got 5 more questions for Dave. I'm sure some will organically sprout up during the course of the next half hour, but we got 28 minutes with him. So this is a great opportunity to ask a question, leave a good solid comment that we can chew on. Now's the time. Okay. I have read more than one study linking COVID, SARS-CoV-2, to some brain deterioration. In particular, a study. I think it was maybe more than one study that actually it increases the aging process of the brain by up to 10 years. So getting COVID can age your brain 10 years, maybe. We don't know yet. I don't know how peer-reviewed this information is, but it was in an actual study. Also, the hardening of the cortex, hardening of the gray matter. COVID may or may not affect your brain. Are you incorporating the importance of getting vaccines into your lectures?
Well, I don't specifically target that, but I do speak loudly and clearly about the need to follow the science and do the right thing. I'm obviously a proponent of vaccination, and actually I'm going to be getting the booster shot for myself probably next week or this week. So yeah, I don't specifically talk about that. It's kind of off topic for me. But yeah, I think it's obvious that all of us need to follow the science and trust what the experts are telling us, and not give in to the pseudoscience and the misinformation that seems to be everywhere. It's annoying. On a personal note, that the whole COVID pandemic has been a real annoyance for me. That's why I get angry at the people who just refuse to do the right thing, because they are delaying us getting through this thing and moving on and getting back into what looks like a normal life. And the longer that delay happens, I feel like it's taking time away from me that I just don't have. I mean, a whole year that we were planning to travel and speak and meet people and do things was taken off the calendar. Now, it's nobody's fault that we had a worldwide pandemic. It's obviously a frustration for me personally, as well as everyone else. I'm no different and no special. But people, do the right thing, for God's sake. and let's get through this thing and quit being stupid. I mean, it just annoys me, for lack of a better word.
I'm gonna put this up here. There's two questions in the live chat. Well, this one's more advice. Do you feel like you get solicited or unsolicited advice that is kind of dubious at best? I don't know what NAC is, and he's saying get on keto, that can help extend your life. I mean, do you get advice that you know is just not true, or do you look into some like this advice, if whether or not you know it to be true or not? Do you look into it and actually maybe follow it?
Well, Bevan, my partner, my girlfriend, partner, fiance / wife, we've been together a long time, so I don't know. We call each other many different things. She's a research expert, and she looks into everything. If there's something out there that is credible, she will grab it and go with it. I have gotten so many suggestions on what to do, how to, do this, take this, drink this, squeeze bat urine through a pantyhose, and it will sprinkle it on your head. That's obviously made up, but some of the things are that bizarre. I was on Seth Andrews' show a while back, and a caller called in and just said, the reason you're sick is you just think wrong. You just need to think better thoughts. And if you start thinking better thoughts, and, even Seth, as nice as he is, got mad at the guy. But yeah, I've heard all kinds of suggestions. Go to this doctor in England. And so I can't, obviously, I'm not going to follow up on. I appreciate the sentiment. People mean well, but there's just a lot of bogus ideas. And if people are out there, then if something's out there that's good, we're going to find it, and we're going to give it a try. Obviously, a better diet makes us all healthier. But a better diet is not going to take my ALS away. No, it's not. It is not. Keto, carb friendly, whatever, is not going to make me healthy again. I'm sorry.
And when you were talking about think positive thoughts, I never do it. Therefore, I really have nothing. That's why at that Marine's funeral, I had nothing to say to the family. But I hear other people that are not necessarily religious saying, well, I'll think good thoughts for you, or good positive vibes. That's just as bad. That's just as pointless and meaningless as saying, I'll pray for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and it sounds like Oprah Winfrey's like the secret kind of stuff. Like if you think it, it will manifest. And okay,
yeah,
you're crystal rubbers.
That's not as harmless as it might first appear, because when you blab stuff like that out to people, it carries with it an implication that you could do something to make yourself better. And if you're not doing it, then it's on you. And that puts on people a sense of guilt and shame that is just not good. So it's not as harmless. Just think good thoughts. You're going to feel better if you just get positive. Dude, there's not a more positive person on the planet than me. I mean, I get up every day and I'm leaning forward. I'm not depressed. I'm not angry. I'm not anxious. I mean, I have my moments, yes. But overall, I get up every day and I go forward, and I've got things to do, and I'm excited about what's next today. So if I could just think better and make myself better, man, I'd be better. I'd be playing basketball today. But so this bullshit of think happy thoughts and think positive thoughts and you're going to be better, man, that's damaging to do to people. It causes guilt and shame, and you just need to stop it.
Yeah, there's a difference between that and the placebo effect, which is true. I mean, there's a night and day difference. I agree. One more question. Here it is. Tobin, what are some of the organizations or foundations that you would encourage people to support?
Good question, Tobin. Thank you. Dying out loud, mine. But Recovering from Religion is a personal favorite of mine. Dr. Del Rey is a good friend. He founded that and is the president. And they do incredible work. They connect people with secular therapists if they need it. There is a great need out there for recovery from religious trauma. And they have chat rooms and phone lines, people all over the world who are helping people get free from the clutches of religion and the damage done by religion. So love recovering from religion. You mentioned Dan Barker earlier, the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They do great work. And Andrew Seiler was just on my show last week. He's their head lawyer there. But they really fight for information, helping people be informed about what's legal and not legal in terms of religion in this country, and then doing legislation and fighting against religious overreach in this country, like putting the 10 Commandments in public schools and opening city council meetings with prayer and all kinds of ways that Christianity continues to try to insert itself into the framework of our country and our life, and trying to make this a Christian country. It's not, it never was, and it's not supposed to be. And so those are two organizations. The Clergy Project is another one. There's links to all these on my website, by the way. Clergy Projects helps clergy who no longer believe in a supernatural deity get free, and it's basically an online forum to help members support one another. I've gotten to know a great number of people through that organization. Those are the top three off the top of my head. But there's a lot of good things out there helping folks. But those three are my top three right now.
Those are some great ones. I would endorse those as well. What was I gonna say next regarding that? Check your PayPal, Dave. I donated before we went live. I donated a 1 week's worth of merchandise and advertising revenue from the show, which you can imagine a tiny show with 11.
That's very kind.
We're only 11,000. Our fan base is only 11,000. That's across all platforms. So you don't get too excited about it. It's what a tiny little show makes in a week. So I sent that to your PayPal.
Thank you for that. That's nice.
I remember what I was going to say. So the link to Dave's website, where you can find all these organizations, that's in the description section, in addition to all the other ways to contact Dave. So look in the description. I've double checked all that. Okay. And so do exactly that. Regarding the studies on COVID and brain hardening and brain aging by 10 years, ALS is a prion disease, or prion. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's a degenerative brain disease. It's linked ALS, Alzheimer's, mad cow disease. There's a lot of others that are kind of lumped together. These are degenerative brain diseases, neurodegenerative. It's caused by an abnormal folding of proteins in the brain. I don't know. Tell me, is this 100% genetic, or did you acquire it somehow? Was it through food? How do you think you got it?
No one knows. There is a strain of it. A very small percentage of the people who get ALS have a gene that's connected, and it's genetic, so it runs through their family. Mine is not that way. I did have that checked, and so I wanted to make sure for my kids that they knew that. It's a mystery. It's just a mystery how we get it. It's so random. There are links to people in the military maybe getting it more. A higher percentage of military people, a higher percentage of athletes, but it's a small percentage. So don't, if you've been in the military, don't be afraid. It doesn't mean that you're going to get ALS. But there is some. They're really trying desperately to find some connections, some links, something in common that we all have, and they haven't been able to. It's not based on what we've eaten or the water we've drank or any places we've lived. I mean, they're gonna uncover some things one of these days. There's a lot of studies going on, a lot of people trying, but to this point, they've not been able to identify how it comes, where it comes from. It's just so random. What I've talked about a lot is that life is random and chaotic, and nothing is guaranteed. And people have asked me, are you angry that you got ALS? Well, no. How could I be angry I got ALS? I don't like having it. And I get angry sometimes when I'm frustrated and I can't do something I'm trying to do, and I might get sad thinking about, stuff that I won't be able to do and people I won't be able to see again. And, when the end comes, but who am I to think that I wouldn't be someone who got it? A certain number of people get it each year, and it's as random as it gets who gets it and who doesn't. I've met many people over the last couple of years who've been diagnosed with ALS, and some of them have died. I actually just came back. We went to Seattle last week to speak at a memorial service for a new friend that I had met online, her and her husband. And we went out so I could speak at his memorial service because he passed away from ALS a couple of months ago. That's as tragic a story as you'll hear. They got married, and then 6 months into their marriage, he gets diagnosed with ALS. They have a baby. So they've got a 3-year-old boy. They wanted to have another one. He wanted to be there to see the other one born, but he didn't make it. And the baby was born a few weeks after he died. Wonderful person. They had a wonderful life. He was 39 years old when he died. Their 5-year wedding anniversary would have been next week. It just doesn't get more tragic than that. And to try to identify why this guy got it, why him, why not someone, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's just sad. It's just a sad disease, honestly.
What a great segue for my next question. Well, that has to be good news for your offspring and your grandkids, in a way. At least, if it were genetic, you'd be more worried.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So where is it in, and your segue and this comment in the live chat, two perfect segues for my next question. And I'm going to be really honest with everybody, and I want you to be honest with yourselves too. When you hear about Dave diagnosed with ALS, does some part of you in the back of your brain say, "There, but for the grace of God, go I"? The old Catholic saying. But in a secular way, a secular version of that would be, "Better you than me," or "Sucks to be you," or you bring it back to yourself. You're like, "Whew, I dodged that bullet." Now. And it's crude. It's not a great way to think. And I think a productive way to look at it is, Dave is a walking reminder that I need to go live my life. That would maybe be more productive, I think.
That's it. That's my message in a nutshell, Jim. My organization is called Dying Out Loud, but it really could be called Living Out Loud. But Dying Out Loud just has a better ring to it. But that's the point. That is the message. Life is nothing more than a collection of moments. And the best we can do, the thing we have to be doing is being conscious of the moments around us. Someone asked, what is Dave's favorite way to enjoy the outdoors? I posted this on Facebook last week. We were in Seattle. I was sitting on the porch. We have a friend who has a house there. Hey, Tobin, in a beautiful part of Seattle. And the leaves they let us use their house. And it was lovely and generous of them to do that. But we were there just relaxing for a few days after the memorial service. And the leaves were falling down, beautiful, bright colors in Seattle right now. Red and green, yellow and brown and orange leaves falling to the ground. I'm sitting on this porch listening to Noah Gunderson, one of my favorite artists. His new album came out, and I was listening to that, and I was smoking a cigar. And it was just a beautiful moment, And the point of my message is those moments are everywhere. We get caught up in thinking that the moments are the big things. We flew over the Grand Canyon in a helicopter last year. Bevan and I did. That was amazing. If you ever go to the Grand Canyon, spend the extra bucks and get a helicopter ride. You will not regret it. It's been said many times, we don't regret the things in life that we did. We regret the things we didn't do. And so grab the moments. There are big moments like that. We jumped out of an airplane. I went skydiving. We're doing the big moment things. But what we end up doing if we're not careful is we miss the little moments, the little conversations we're having with a friend over a drink, or or just watching a sunset at the beach, or watching leaves fall down and listening to the music you love. The moments are everywhere, and that is my message. The other part I talk about a lot is the ideas we had when we were in Christianity, those of us that were caught up in the evangelical Christianity, with the idea that this life is just a warm-up for the next life. That is false, 100% false. This life is what we know we have. And a focus on a life to come causes us to minimize what we're doing now in this life. And that is a tragedy. So grab the moments, live life with full gusto. You never know when, and not just, the old phrase, you get hit by a bus. We just don't have any guarantees of anything. We know this, we say this, and yet we let life slip by and get caught up in the mundane things. I'll just finish with this story from early on. If you followed me at all, you see the phrase, "What would Dave do?" That came out of a moment. We were having a meetup shortly after my diagnosis with my friends in Nashville, ex-Christian atheist group. And one of the women there was talking about her week and processing my diagnosis and feeling all the feelings. And she was frustrated about something in traffic or just the daily frustrations. And she stopped herself and said, "Wait a minute, Dave wouldn't be worrying about this kind of stuff. He's got such bigger issues to deal with." And somebody across the room said, "Yeah, what would Dave do?" And then someone else said, "Yeah, WWDD." And so we started making bracelets after that with WWDD. And shortly, within a month or two, I started seeing people were sending me messages. I got a message from a guy in Paris, France, another one from a person in Sweden, another one in Germany, another one in the UK, and then all over the US with these bracelets. A good friend in Chicago sent me one that he took. And people were everywhere were reminding themselves to focus on the things that matter and to not let the peripheral things get in the way. And it was just beautiful for me to realize that some things I was saying were helping folks in small ways, get through their days. Because that's the best we can do oftentimes, is just get through the day and do the best you can. We're all doing the best we can. That's the bottom line.
On Dave's website, you can donate, and you can also order those WWDD bracelets. That's a great way, a little reminder. I like that. I took that helicopter ride you're talking about at the Grand Canyon,
man.
And I agree. And what struck me is, from the ground, I mean, it's beautiful, but up high, the colors are different somehow.
You can't. No, you could look over any of the edge views and be awestruck, but when you get over you just can't imagine. You can't realize how massive it is. It's expensive to take that ride, but man, I thought, I'll never be this way again. I got to do it.
Your words, this would be a perfect, if I were a great host, your words were so profound. This would be the perfect place to end the show, but I've got one more question, but it's kind of a follow-up. And we have 7 minutes, so I'm going to squeeze all of this time out of you.
Good.
I recently started a new side project on my channel, and it's using disc golf and to get back in shape. And I'm encouraging other people, maybe not disc golf, maybe walking the dogs, maybe riding the bikes with your kid. Get out in this pandemic. We're kind of we're seeing the end of the tunnel. People are so used to now. We're so used to staying indoors. Maybe it's a way to get back outdoors. And one of the side benefits of me getting out and playing disc golf, I'm back outdoors a lot now. Not just walking, not just trying to get in shape, not just learning disc golf the way I should have 30 years ago when I started playing it. But also, disc golf courses are notoriously just beautiful as hell. The trees, the foliage, just this time of year, the cool breeze coming in now. It's a great way to enjoy the outdoors. I've put out 2 in my series, 2 episodes right now. I've got 6 in the can, and but this is, I'm revealing this before my big reveal on during the series, but shortly after starting this series, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and all the more reason for me to. It's type 2 diabetes. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if it's reversible. I might be in trouble. But what struck me first when they told me my A1C was over 45, and when you start looking into a nutritionist, I'm like, oh no, and all this other, and refer me to these other. And the first thing, I guess it's part of the, I guess it's the first part of the 5 stages of grief. The first one is denial. I'm like, this can't be happening to me. I was a Marine for 21 years. I was running 6 miles a day, and there's no, the first thing is it can't happen to you. And if you guys are looking at Dave and saying, oh, and like, this is a continuation of the last question, but for the grace of God go I. It might not be ALS, but it could happen to you. All the more reason to get out there and enjoy them. Like when I'm on that disc golf course, I'm not just trying to get in shape and throwing disc in a basket. I'm enjoying the outdoors and living in the moment and taking it all in.
Yeah, do the things, man. Do the things. I mean, I know we have people have jobs and responsibilities and schedules and things, but don't say no to stuff that you might want to do just for no reason. Go out, go for things, man. Say yes to what is, my friend Cass Misley says on his podcast. But it's just about grabbing the moments. And I keep talking about that. I mean, early on in the diagnosis, someone sent me a poem from a Brazilian poet. And the last line is this: we have 2 lives, and the second one begins when you realize you only have one. This is it, folks. Live it.
Wow. And that would be another great place to end it, but I feel compelled. Last question, Dave. I know, crazy. 3 minutes left. Okay, this is perfect. One last question in the live chat. Do you have anything left on your bucket list?
I've done some bucket list things, Grand Canyon, skydiving, those kind of things. The thing I'm really focused on right now, hi, Laura. I've got this book finished. I'm really pleased with it. I've gotten some good feedback on it. So it's going to come out the first of the year. Traveling is getting more difficult. Things are challenging for me physically, but I really am focused on trying to do a really massive book tour next year, to travel around the country, do some readings and signings. And my favorite thing in the world, it really is, besides a cigar on the beach at sunset, is just to meet people, to just enjoy the company of people. Maybe I've met them online and we get to meet in person, or people that I've not met, just at an event where I'm speaking or just hanging out. We're going to be at Faithless Forum. We get to meet you in person. I love that. I love that shit. I mean, I just the human interaction, the human contact. So that's what I'm really looking forward to next year. And hopefully, I think I'm going to be physically able. Bevan and I were going to go to Europe this year and do a lot of meeting people and sightseeing and doing some small groups. And hopefully we can get to that next year as well. That got postponed again because of COVID and some other things. But that's kind of, as far as a bucket list thing, is just getting to meet some more people, get out there, travel, get the book in people's hands and hug some necks. That's kind of my thing. I just love it.
Viewers, please go to the description section and check out, especially Dave's website. That'll link you to everything we've been talking about this entire hour. Dave, thank you so much. It's been such an honor. I look forward to seeing you next month at the Faithless Forum. And,
yeah.
And so Atheist Experience, you're going to be on with Matt here in like a couple hours, I guess. So everyone go and tune in into that.
4:30 Central. Matt and I'll be talking to people on the phone, and Matt will do his Matt thing.
Awesome. I am definitely going to tune in. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
All right, man. My pleasure.
Take care.
All right, guys. Bye.